Hi there, I'm Liz Leary with Gather with LL, and this is the Best of the Best series, Trello Together 2021 VR Edition. On April 30th, 2021, I created an event for Trello team entirely in virtual reality. I called it Trello Together 2021 VR Edition, aka TTVR 21. For this installment of the Best of the Best series, I will dive into this experience to give you all the fresh deets from one of my favorite events. I hope by sharing this information with you, I can spread the VR love, creating yet another way for you to connect, collaborate, and play with your teams. First, a little backstory. Trello was and is an extremely tight knit product. Across all teams, oceans, time zones, and even through an acquisition, we had continued to sustain this bond. That has everything to do with the thoughtful investment made towards team building and unity. From our taco statues sent to celebrate a tacoversary, a Trello work anniversary, to frequent full staff events and monthly town halls, we know that you get out of your relationships what you put into them. And we put in everything we got. One huge component of this practice is our annual event Trello Together, also known as TT, a time once a year that our entire staff travels to a remote location for 3 meticulously planned days. The difference from other retreats was that Trello Together was never about the work. It was all about forming bonds, building connections, and getting to really know one another. It was truly magical and something the team looked forward to each and every year. I was the main event planner for this time honored tradition, and 2020 would have been our 5th year. Then COVID changed the world. It quickly became apparent how much our staff was struggling to stay connected in the absence of this event. We had to do something. In December of 2020, my manager, Brian Schmidt, and I were having our one on one. I teasingly mentioned the VR hangout on his calendar. He and other members of the Trello leadership team, Michael Pryor, Barry Clark, Justin Gallagher, and Liam Gregg, had cut some time out to hang in VR every Friday afternoon. I expressed how much I wanted an Oculus Quest 2 headset for Christmas so I could join them. I then made what I thought was a cheeky comment about equipping the entire Trello staff with headsets so we could all get together. What I thought was a casual joke was actually an idea they had already been considering. A week later, they looped me in on their plan, asked me to spearhead it, and TTVR 21 was born. Okay, so why VR? Because it's super freaking cool. Seriously, though, it had been over a year and a half since our last trail together, and at the time, we were about a year into the pandemic. No one had seen anyone in a really long time. We needed something special and unique, and definitely a far cry from video conferencing. The Zoom fatigue was real. The Trello leadership team was all about VR. As I mentioned earlier, they had a VR hangout every Friday. When we started talking about this and our longing for Trello Together, the idea hit me like a lightning bolt. We had to somehow do Trello Together in VR. It was the only tech at the time that would come close to replicating that TT feeling. So now I had the foundational idea. How the hell do I actually build this thing? How the planning began. I decided to start with what I knew, how to plan an actual Trello Together. TTVR had to replicate the 4 core components of Trello Together. Number 1, an awesome venue. A major star in any Trello Together is the venue. Previous ones included a swanky resort in Puerto Rico. This was the first TT and before my time. Shout out to my mentor, Liz Hall. TT is her brainchild. I just inherited the keys to the castle. Number 2 was the Four Seasons in Scottsdale, Arizona. Fun fact there, that's where we learned we were getting acquired by Atlassian. The third was the Ritz-Carlton in New Orleans, Louisiana. And the fourth was the Ritz-Carlton in Lake Oconee, Georgia. Number 2 of the 4 core components of Trello Together is killer team building activities. Trello Together always had a menu of different activities on the 2 full days we were there. Things like archery, painting, scavenger hunts, trivia shows, go-karts, etc. We've really run the gamut. However, competitive experiences were always heavily favored. Number 3 of the core components was the swag. It wouldn't be my event if there wasn't top-notch swag. I love me some thoughtful and useful swag. No tired mugs here. Number 4 of the core components was Trello-y togetherness. I know that's a very ambiguous phrase, but I'll explain later. Once I had this framework, I got to work sourcing the VR solutions. Brian brilliantly created a brainstorming Slack room. He found quite a few Trellis he knew were also VR enthusiasts, and without telling them what we were planning, started to crowdsource some potential fits for these categories. One day, someone suggested looking into Frame. Frame was a new VR environment creation tool under the virtual world platform Verbella. The second I saw their website and their tagline, "Come together and feel together" online, I knew this was the team that was going to create my virtual venue. The virtual venue. In February of 2021, I reached out to Gabe Baker, Principal Product Manager and Lead Engineer for Frame. On our first convo, he brought me into the Frame via desktop, showed me around, was incredibly patient while I got my bearings, and asked way too many questions. That meeting inspired the decision to create the Atlassian New York office as our TTVR virtual venue. Little sidebar here, Trello was born in New York City. Before the Atlassian acquisition, we had a really great office on Wall Street. After the acquisition, Atlassian decided they wanted a New York presence, so they built an even more incredible Atlassian office in Union Square. At the beginning, it was only Trellis inhabiting its walls, so we really made it our office, a Trello home base. We moved in December of 2019. On March 3rd, 2020, Atlassian closed the doors of the office due to the COVID pandemic. We didn't know that it then, but we wouldn't return until September of 2021. I chose to recreate the New York office because it was truly Trello's home, a home that a majority of Trello had never seen or been in. Honestly, it just felt right. And it was. It really was. Now that we had decided what the environment was going to be, we needed the footage to create it. Since Atlassian offices were closed to everyone but the workplace experience staff, I leaned on my friend and former partner in crime on Trello Together, Atlassian New York Workplace Experience Manager Rebecca Seiler. I requested that she take about 1 million photos of the place, which was a request from one of our frame designers. She innovated and suggested taking a video of the space instead. She did a full walkthrough and an explanation of the office. We gave all of our footage to the lead designer for our custom environment, Martin Peterson, and we were off to the races. Side note, this footage was later used to create a promo piece for a meta case study on VR in the workplace. Check it out on my website. With the environment in production, Gabe and I moved on to design the user experience. What I learned from Gabe was we could have 250 people in the same frame, but they wouldn't be able to see or interact with each other. Not really capturing the point of Trello Together, right? The solution was to create 9 different links stocked with the same custom environment. Organize our guests into groups of 30, the magic number for interacting in most VR environments at the time, and assign a link to those 9 different groups in a calendar invite. To mingle between groups, we developed the idea for a wall of portals, as we called it. Virtual doors that could simply click to bring you to another link with a different group of people. It was epic and gave me real Beetlejuice vibes, which was an added bonus for a cinephile like me. Gabe and I met once or twice a week, talking about design, giving me tours of their recent work, and teaching me the ropes of frame. When it was time to quote unquote decorate, Gabe allowed me to lead the way. He knew making the space intentional, personal, and thoughtful was paramount to me, so he trained me to be a frame expert. I ended up doing most of the asset placement myself. Shout out to the fabulous Ronnie Shaw, Senior Brand Manager for Trello. She was absolutely an integral part of brainstorming the decoration for this environment. Every few weeks, I would schedule a sneak peek of the environment for the rest of the Project OC team. That's what my planning committee was called. It was so helpful to get different point of views and opinions about what was working and what wasn't. Okay, virtual venue, check. Before I proceeded to the killer team building activities, I had to figure out how the hell I was going to acquire 250 Oculus Quest 2 headsets. The headsets. Keep in mind, all this planning was happening in secret. No one knew what we were up to, and I planned to keep it that way. There are so few good surprises in life, after all. But I won't lie, I was more than a little nervous about the insanely large responsibility of sourcing, branding, packaging, and shipping 250 headsets around the world. Thankfully, I found swag magicians in Paul Navaport and Fifi Washington, the vice president and senior brand consultant for Nadella Incorporated. Do yourself a favor, hire them, like right now. I explained with trepidation what I needed to achieve. Without hesitation, Paul said, "Yep, I got you." He proceeded to source 250 headsets using 6 different vendors. In record time, I might add. During subsequent conversations, I also described how I intended the surprise to play out for the team. He and Fifi assisted in bringing my vision for the opening experience to life. They printed 260 custom branded boxes for the Oculuses to go in and invitations to Trello Together 2021 VR edition. When we were finally ready to ship, I sent the complete mailing address list to Paul and Fifi, and they created all the shipping labels. We were ready to go. Considering the important and expensive contents of these packages, I felt it was necessary to message each recipient with their tracking number. However, I didn't want to spoil the surprise, so I just told them a secret package was on its way, and not to open it because we would all be doing that together on an opening party Zoom call. People were so excited. GIFs and memes started popping up in all the channels, mostly from the movie Seven. What's in the box? It was already a hit, and nothing had even happened yet. Shipping went off nearly flawlessly. Out of 200 globally distributed boxes, we had 3. Yes, only 3 missed deliveries. And since every package was insured, we received them back. Mind blown. Thank you, Paul, Fifi, and the Nadell team for all of it. On March 31st, 2021, the whole team joined the highly anticipated opening party. This part, above any others, was my favorite part. Things suddenly started to feel normal again. I still get a little teary-eyed recalling the feeling. Okay, virtual venue, check. Headsets, check. On to kick-ass activities. Kick-ass team building activities. As I mentioned, Trello Together was all about the activities, with competitive ones always being the most popular. We also had a tradition of playing poker on the final night. I was dead set on incorporating that. However, I wanted to be mindful of the length of this event. It's my experience that you can be in the headset for about 90 minutes before you need a break. We also needed apps that were user-friendly. We had a lot of newbies to VR, and I didn't want to overcomplicate it for them. So I went on the hunt to find VR games that could fill these requirements and handle some serious traffic. I used the following solutions. Number 1, a scavenger hunt in the frame environment. The frame environment was magnificent, but we needed something interactive in the space. I decided to create some small PNG files of our mascot and hide them in the environment. When you entered the space, there was instructions for a taco scavenger hunt. Number 2, Walkabout Mini Golf. The main activity was a bracket-style tournament in a VR app called Walkabout Mini Golf. I anticipated that at least half of my attendees would want to participate, making my estimate about 125 people. I created a bracket that I managed with a Trello board. 150 people signed up, and I split them into teams of 4. Once we got down to the 4 finalists, we live streamed the finals for our team to watch on a Zoom. Ben Porter, head of partnerships for Meta at the time, volunteered to record it. And we had our COO, Brian Schmidt, and senior marketing manager, Jess Kennedy, do the live commentary on Zoom. It added an extra element of fun, competition, and Trello-y togetherness. This couldn't have gone smoother. It's definitely my favorite memory. It had incredible long-lasting benefits for our team culture and connection efforts. For example, following TTVR 21, a VR mini golf Slack room was created. It was always busy with our global staff randomly popping in and asking for a pickup game. Almost 3 years later, it's still a pretty active channel. Expert tip: if you are a VR gamer and have never heard of Walkabout Mini Golf, you need to put your headset on right now. Stop reading or listening to this and go download it immediately. Also, they just debuted a new course based on the movie The Labyrinth, and it's wildly good. Number 3, VR Poker Stars. As I mentioned, I was dead set on incorporating the poker element into TTVR. However, this was already going to be a long event, and I was conscious of not burning people out and ruining their experience. Less is more, especially in VR. I took a very casual and unstructured approach and added it as an option at the end. Okay, venue, check. Headsets out, check. Kick-ass activities, check. On to develop some seriously sick swag. The swag. If there's one thing to know about me, I'm super picky, especially when it comes to swag. You will never receive swag from me that you won't use or cherish. In my opinion, it's an art, and I take my craft very seriously. The first step in any swag project is graphic design. I rely on a fabulously talented freelance graphic designer named Maggie Lim. I have trusted her with pretty much every Trello design since 2017. I trust her so much, I even hired her to design the Gather with LL brand kit. Next step is finding a vendor. Someone who is vehemently shares my opinions on quality swag is Millie Tadewald, founder of my favorite swag vendor, Brilliant Made. Millie, in all her wisdom, connected me with one of my favorite humans, senior creative partner Maggie Sackman. Maggie and I had been working together for a couple years already when I contacted her about collabing on the swag for TTVR. Together, we created the cutest little swag offering ever. Even though I'm a huge swag enthusiast, I'm extremely mindful that not everyone is. That's why every swag offering I do is completely elective. TTVR21 was no exception. Brilliant Maid and I designed the offering and then set up a storefront. Attendees were then sent an email with a link to access the storefront and redeem 2 items of swag from the options. This process is not only fiscally responsible, but cuts down on waste. Gotta take care of Mother Earth, am I right? All right, virtual venue? Check. Headsets? Check. Kick ass team building activities? Check. Awesome swag? Check. Ladies and gentlemen, it was time to shine. So, how did it go? On April 30th, 2021, 250 Trellis entered the New York City office virtual venue. They used the wall of portals to mix and mingle in the 9 different environments. They had a scavenger hunt for taco while mini golf competitors battled it out in the tournament. Then nearly 200 people got onto a Zoom call to watch the mini golf finals live stream. Gambling and VR poker stars brought the experience to a traditional and proper end. TTVR was over, and it had been an outrageous success. I will never be able to fully express how it felt to pull off an event like this. I was damn proud of myself. But because I am who I am, I immediately wanted to know what I missed. I know my fellow event planners out there can relate. I give myself the day to bask in the feeling of victory, then I promptly seek out how I can iterate and improve for the next time. No event is perfect. There's always something to learn. Here are some of my lessons and takeaways from this experience, most of which I ended up employing in TTVR 22. I will have a blog post on that coming out eventually. Number 1, have a Zoom room open at all times. Guests can pop in whenever they need to, recharge their batteries, both personal and headset. Number 2, have a non-VR event. Have a Zoom-based virtual event occurring simultaneously to your main VR activity. This makes your event super inclusive. Some people just hate VR, and that's okay. Have an awesome alternative for them. Number 3, one source of truth for all comms. For this event, I used multiple platforms for comms. My thought process was to have as much information as possible. I was wrong. Pick one platform for all your comms. Slack, Notion, whatever it is, keep it all there. Number 4, select a day and time to post. In the one channel you do choose, try to select a specific day and time to post your comms updates. Establish a routine for people, and they are more likely to anticipate and read your content. Number 5, test, test, test. Tech checks, rehearsals, weekly team check-ins are all necessary. This applies for any large-scale event, not just VR. Things are going to break and tech will get cranky. Test your stuff. Number 6, explore the use of VR more. Team members are extremely interested in using VR for their offsite activities, especially remote first teams. Explore how to use it more and change it up every time. Number 7, allow staff to expense items to enrich their experience. For example, the Elite Battery Pack head strap. It's an alternative to the stock strap that comes with the Oculus. It changes the game completely. Not only does it increase playtime, the weight of the strap balances the weight of the headset, making it more comfortable to wear for longer periods of time. Achieving Trello togetherness. Oh, you thought I forgot, right? Nope, just saving the best for last. Now, let me define Trello togetherness for you. It's exactly how it sounds. Moments of togetherness at Trello events that make you understand who the Trello team is and why the culture is so magical. I truly believe every element of TTVR 21 gave Trello togetherness vibes. It bonded us as a team again, reigniting that connection we are all so desperately craving in a COVID world full of isolation and fear. It brought Trello together again and reminded us why we work here. It's the people. It was, is, and will always be about the people. Until the next post, happy planning.